We've been talking a lot about what the Chicago Bulls could do at the draft. As a matter of fact, in today's earlier episode, talk about what the Bulls' focus may be in the draft. Well, now we have multiple reports coming out of ESPN, Bleacher Report, and other outlets that the Chicago Bulls are open for business on trading up. Who could be the target? We're going to talk about all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it for today. So we have multiple reports now of the Chicago Bulls trading up, and you guys know my motto. Where there's smoke, there may very well be some fire. This one's coming from ESPN's Jonathan Giovanni, and showing that the Bulls have shown a willingness to explore moving up in the draft for the right price. Then add into that, Jonathan Westerman also reports on the same day that the Chicago Bulls are looking to move up possibly to draft Matas Buzelis, who played with the G League Ignite next season. But he is projected right now to go number 4 to the San Antonio Spurs by a lot of mock drafts. Nikola Topic is also mentioned as a possible pick at number 11 for the Chicago Bulls as well. It seems like right now, Arturas Karnisovas, per Giovanni, has extensive knowledge of Buzelis. The team watched him work out privately in Los Angeles early in the pre-draft process, so it could be intrigued enough to make a move up the draft board to select the swing man. Matas Buzelis is a player that we covered in one of my videos as far as like players that I like for the Chicago Bulls, but I just don't think is going to fall there to the Chicago Bulls. Now, with the Spurs potentially going after Nikola Topic, it would make some sense if he does fall a little bit further. This is a guy who is a floor spacer, has an amazing feel for the game. He has great off-ball defense, needs to work on the on-ball defense as well, has the ability to create his own shot, has a lot of defensive versatility on top of that. He needs to prove that he's going to be able to be a reliable three-point shooter. 27% with the G League Ignite last year. That's some developing and growth and things that need to happen there. But you look at his dribble, the ability he has to step back. He can shoot from mid-range. He does have the ability to shoot the wide-open three. He's another player that showed an ability to shoot the three in high school. Didn't really show that with the G League Ignite. So much like with Julian Phillips, if you can get him back to how he was shooting in high school, there's definitely some upside of that. He was a 43.1% three-point shooter in his final year in high school. So coming into being less than a 30% shooter with the G League Ignite, there's definitely some room to think that he's going to be able to turn into more at the NBA level for sure. This is a player that's really good in transition on top of that. He runs the court very hard. He knows how to get on kickouts. He knows how to pass well. He definitely has a high motor on top of all of that. And he moves without the ball and has ability for weak side chase down blocks on top of that. If this is to be believed and the Chicago Bulls are interested in moving up for the right type of deal, it would make some sense. Now, we did hear earlier that the Chicago Bulls could move up and also select Donovan Clingan. That was a player that, there's a mixed bag in feelings on as far as that because of what you can get later in the draft. But Matas Buzelis offers a different type of skill set as well as a high upside that really only a player like Tajon Saloon really offers. There are some definitely other high upside when you get outside that top two, but he offers a lot of that. He'll be 20 years old, most of his rookie year on top of that. So still a very high ceiling for Matas Buzelis if he's able to come, if the Chicago Bulls do get him and they're able to develop him. That's the key thing here. This would definitely be one of those pieces where it would be a development piece. And how does this kind of factor into the other rumors that we've heard from the Chicago Bulls? Matas Buzelis, especially if the Bulls do still believe in either Dalen Terry or Julian Phillips, would potentially allow the Chicago Bulls to move on from Patrick Williams and maybe net some more assets back. Now, that's me and my own thinking. That's not part of Jonathan Giovanni's reporting on this. That's just my own thinking, that kind of pairing other things that we've heard from the Chicago Bulls around. But overall, the thing that I'm taking from this more than anything is when you keep hearing that the Bulls may be looking to trade up, are willing to trade up, to me, that says that they are hitting the – it doesn't necessarily mean that anything's going to materialize because we don't know if that right price is something that's going to happen there for the Bulls. But the targets that we're hearing kind of make a lot of sense for it. Matas Buzelis has that point forward mentality, that point forward skill set, and it's what we're kind of seeing happen along and come along in the NBA, and that teams are finding a lot of success for, especially if the Chicago Bulls are looking at Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu being big parts of their future, having three players that can all ball handle, play off the ball, and things like that as well. And with Buzelis being a player that does like to get out in transition, he would fit the present and the future of the Chicago Bulls. The bigger question is, what is his long-term position? 6'8", basically 6'9", with a 6'10" wingspan. He is a guy that can play power forward or small forward, so allows that flexibility for the Chicago Bulls, especially looking at the other players they have on this roster, Dalen Terry, Patrick Williams, and Julian Phillips, if they all stay around, right? We'll see what happens with that if the Bulls are looking to move up. But this right now is another sign that the Bulls are doing some big due diligence as far as trying to find the right player in this draft. We heard about a potential draft night promise to Devin Carter. That could also go to a different team as well. It wasn't necessarily said the Bulls exactly. So we'll see. Devin Carter is a player that the Bulls have worked out. We apparently now know Matas Buzelis is a player that the Chicago Bulls have seen in private workouts. On top of that, in LA, and the fact that we heard prior as well that Arturas Karnisovas could be looking at European prospects in this because he has gone over and scouted European players. We ended up finding out last year he went to a game to see Erno Lot-Batim, who then came to this team eventually as well. So there's a lot to look at and to take away from this. The bigger question is, are the Chicago Bulls going to actually pull the trigger to get a player that many people think is a top 3 to 5 player in this draft? And if that's the case, it is going high upside. And what does that mean for the future of the Chicago Bulls? Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.